Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the legendary Fairground Speedways Race Talk America, second edition for 2018. It is Friday night, March the 16th, and we've got actually two different sets of guests tonight, but I want to introduce my first guest here. This is Mr. Chapman. As you all know, was the Super Truck champion and is the Super Truck champion for this year, and lots happened over the winter, and we're going to talk about that in just a little while and talk about the plans for the champion. Moving up, we're going to do a little pro late model racing.
Yes, sir.
And I know you guys are really excited about that. Your dad's told me a lot about this new car that's sounds like it's something right down my alley. We're not going to tell everybody what you got, but it sounds like a pretty cool deal. Yep. And we're going to talk about the second part of our show. We're going to have Mr. Jonathan Dishman in here, and we're going to have Mr. Calvin Rollins in here, and we're going to talk about our new limited late model division that we have put together, sponsored by Advanced Auto Parts. And so the Big Machine Vodka Super Trucks have taken over the Mr. Borchetta has the Big Machine Vodka is doing really well, and so that's going to be our Super Truck sponsorship this year's brand new, the Big Machine Vodka Super Truck Series. Let's talk first about our 2018 division sponsors. The Big Machine Record Pro Late Model. Mr. Borchetta is back on board with Big Machine labels, Pro Late Models, and then the Big Machine Vodka Super Truck, as I said. Advanced Auto Parts Limited Late Model, the Redneck Nation, brand new for the Pure Stocks. And talking about Pure Stocks, you're talking about having a lot of cars. We have set a world's record on division increase. I think we are now at somewhere around 42 or 43 entries, and still more to come. People are registering for this Pure Stock division every single day. We've got some people that haven't raced here with us in a few years that are coming back on board. The Pest Doctors Front Runners, BH Homes Construction Legends, and of course the USA Motor Machine Pro Mods. And speaking of Pro Mods, today's is a special day for the Pro Mod Rookie of the Year. We want to wish Chase Johnson a happy birthday, and he just turned 12 years old. So really cool deal. Chase won the Rookie of the Years last year, and also won a race, the youngest driver in the history of the 60 years of this legendary Fairground Speedways to win a race, the youngest driver in the history. Can you imagine winning a race at 11 years old?
No, it's very young.
It really is. And back when I was racing, that was unheard of. You know, I always like to talk a little bit about back when I raced, you know, and back when I raced, you had to have a valid driver's license to race. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Donahoe caught me racing a year before I actually had my driver's license, and he just happened to ask me at a driver's meet, and he said, "How old are you, Formosa?" And I wasn't but 15, and he said, "Well, if you're 15, you don't have a driver's license yet." And I said, "No, sir." So he kind of kicked me out of the pits and kicked me out of my race car till I got my license. But nowadays, I mean, they're just these young drivers are just coming out of the woodwork. I'm really blown away with what these young kids can do. I don't know if it's where they play these games or they race on the internet or what, but I think it's pretty cool for an 11-year-old to come out here and jump in any kind of race car, whatever it is, and not just become a Rookie of the Year, but become a race winner. So happy birthday to Chase Johnson, our very own, and Jake Garcia. They had the Willie Allen War Shocks and War Racing Development had the track a few days ago, and man, they just showed all kind of muscle. Every time this kid gets on the track, he just goes faster and faster and faster. They were consistently in the 1920s and 30s. This kid, if you see him, it's hard to believe. He's only about yay tall, and just got a ton of talent. I guarantee you, I told Mike Organ last week when they were testing, I said, I guarantee you this kid's going to be the next Jeff Gordon. I don't think Chase Elliott has got anything on this kid. So very proud to say that he's going to race here at Legendary Fairground Speedways for the Points Championship this year. And he's going to run every race with us, and it's going to be something to see. I don't know how I'd feel racing against 11, 12, 13-year-old kid. How would you feel about racing if I was 12 years old and I was right beside you and we were going in the corners and I was rubbing on you a little bit? Would you give me a little bit back, or would you give me a little bit of edge, or would you just treat me like I was one of your normal competitors, or what?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking about it. You know, he may be 12 years old, but I'm 22 out there racing with people that are, you know, 40 and 50.
Exactly.
So it's probably the same difference. I probably wouldn't treat him no different.
You know, and I hear you. You know, and you've raced against your brother before, and that brings up a good subject. You know, I mean, I raced against my brother a bunch, and I always cut him some slack. You know, I mean, and I know you cut your brother some slack, and he cut you some slack. And you got a brother that just snuck in here last year, jumped in one of you guys' trucks, and went out there and beat one of the all-time greatest truck drivers. You know, and just jumped in the truck and went out there and took that race. And I know you guys were really proud of him, and you yourself won 4 truck races last year and the championship. You guys had an amazing year. Yeah. Took just about all of our money in the truck division last year. So how do you feel? I mean, it's been a short winter or a long winter to you, or you've joined the circle of champions in your family. Your granddad was a champion, Neil. Your dad was a 2-time champion, Chad. I got to play a part of a little bit of that. We had a great relationship when we raced together, and we had a lot of fun. And then you guys come along, you know, and you know, I remember talking to your dad when you guys first, you know, started racing, and you guys were wrecking a lot, tearing a lot of stuff up, and your dad was kind of getting frustrated. And I said, Chad, you know what? We throw a bunch of stuff up too, so yeah. You know, it's their time now, and you know, and he realizes that, and he goes out and does a lot for you guys, and I know he's really proud of you, and your grandfather and your mom. The Binkley comes from a racing family, so you've got the mixture of the Binkley blood and the Chapman blood. You kind of got some big shoes to fill there. You've pretty much got to do good. So
yes, sir.
So. Yeah. I know you're anxious to get started, so tell us a little bit about what your plans are for 2018. You told me before the show that you're definitely going to be in a big machine vodka super truck for the first race, but tell us about what you guys got going on for what's the Chapman clan doing for 2018?
Well, first I just want to go ahead and say, you know, 2017 was definitely an incredible season for
It really was.
For us, you know, like you said, a lot of wrecks and stuff that happened over the years. It was one of those things. It's almost kind of hard to come back to 2018 after having such. My dad told me, you know, it don't get any better than the last season you just had. You know, winning races, didn't tear up a fender on the truck, finished in the top 3. So it's kind of weird coming back. It's like you're on top. You know, so it is kind of scary coming back.
But you can stay on top.
I can stay on top. That is true. But you know, I just enjoy racing. You know, I'm not under the delusion, you know, that racing is a privilege. It's a blessing, you know. And I'm just going to come up to 2018. There was some issues with, am I going to race the car? Am I going to race the truck? And eventually I just said, Dad, you tell me what I'm going to race, when I'm going to race it, and I'll be happy to do it, you know. So I'm just going to show up and drive whatever vehicle my dad has for me. And I think it's going to be the truck. And then a little bit later on, I'm going to get my feet wet in that Pro Late model. So.
Now, you guys are practicing tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes.
And are you going to be practicing the truck or the Pro Late model? Or
the Pro Late model, we're still physically building the car.
You guys don't have that car completed yet.
Yeah, no, I've been putting spoilers, deck lids, and rear windows in it. We're still building that car. So to get it down here for this race is just going to be too much. Too soon, so we're just going to bring the trucks down and make sure they're both running, because we've had some changes in the engine rules, so we've had to completely convert all of.
Yeah, you guys had the machine Ford motors last year, which were phenomenally great, and after you win 3 races, then the Speedway gets to look, and we took your engine to my shop, and Bill Faulkner and myself tore it completely down to nothing, and your machine man, your engine man came there, and we looked it over really good, and it actually it could have been a little bit faster, and I think when you guys put it back together, it might have became a little bit faster. We took a little RPM away from you, and that didn't seem to hurt you. So yeah, you guys have gone from the big machine Ford motor down to a 604 crate engine, which everybody's got to run that now. But I did open the rules up, so the same motor that you're going to run in the Pro Late model will be the same motor you'll be running in the Big Machine Vodka Super Trucks. Is the same thing that we'll be running in the Clayton and James Pro Late models. So there won't be any difference in engines, just a little bit of weight and everything. So you guys said, I guess you've had quite a bit of work to do to the trucks, changing the engines and the mounts and the headers and the exhaust and everything.
Everything, yeah.
And once again, that Ford motor is it's a lot heavier than a regular Chevrolet engine, so you're losing probably a bunch of nose weight, and putting the lighter Chevrolet engine in there, probably. But I know your dad will get it figured out. He knows his numbers. He knows what he likes, and he told me that he's probably going to run a few truck races this year himself. Is that true? Or
well, Tony, as you know, plans always change, but we're always going to have 2 vehicles there at the track, either a Pro Late model, except for this first race because it's not ready. But if I'm racing the truck, my dad wants to race the Pro, and vice versa. And then you never know when my brother might.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting ready to ask you. What about Chase? When's he just liable to show up and jump in a truck and go out there and?
Chase has a lot going on right now in his life. He's got a business, a family, and he loves racing. He enjoys racing. He just I guess the interest isn't there. He's got other hobbies and stuff, but whenever he does,
he likes to hunt a lot too.
Yeah, he hunts and fishes and all kinds of stuff. So
I think that comes from your grandfather, Gary Binkley. He was a great hunter and a fisherman. He was always deer hunting and whatnot. So, are you excited about getting in a Pro Late model? I mean, I know when you guys first started racing, you started out on a quarter-mile track in the front runner division, and got a pretty good little old car, and kind of started dominating that.
Volkswagen.
Yeah, Volkswagen too. But also had that Honda that
brother ran.
that your brother ran, and that motor, and actually that car came from us. It was one of my nephew's original cars, and I think your dad just took everything and transferred it over in a whole nother body, and then you got a sportsman car, as you graduated up to the 5/8, and went out there and just really set the world on fire with that thing. Had a lot of luck with that. So the High Bank 5/8 is no stranger to you, you guys, and you guys have really seemed to have mastered the truck division last year. So, I think that once you folks get going in the Pro Late model, that you'll probably be highly competitive. However, this car that you guys are building, it's not like a regular straight rail car.
Right.
It's a little bit different, and it's exactly kind of sort of what I have built, except your car is conventional, straight rail, big spring, kind of like a truck, kind of like a sportsman car, but with the straight rail with more left side weight. That's going to be kind of cool. You've got a good feel for that kind of car. So personally, I don't like the Pro Late models. They steer too quick. they're just, if you get tangled up with somebody, it's almost takes a miracle to save the car, if you get loose, if you get bumped or whatever. So I think you guys are on the right track, and I'm really anxious to see how that car does. I think it's going to be pretty sporty. So that remains to be seen. So you don't feel any pressure this year. You're just gonna come down here and get in whatever is available and go out there and do the best you can do. Then.
Yes, sir. Yep. No matter what, last year I went into the season with the attitude that no matter what happens, I'm just gonna leave the results up to God, and that's what I'm gonna do this season. And it just seems to work out that way, because at the end of the day, I know I'm not going to become a professional race car driver. This is all just for fun. So if I can't have fun, then I don't want to do it.
I hear you.
And setting expectations on this is just drive you crazy.
I said that for years and years and years, and of course your dad graduated and went to a professional career and won some races on that level in the Craftsman Truck Series and whatnot, and had some great runs in the Busch cars and whatever. But I've said that many times, what you just said. We're just doing this for fun, and if somebody takes the fun out of it, what are you doing it for? But I admire you when you say we just put it in the hands of the Lord, and that's where I'm at. And that's what your grandfather used to tell me, Neil. When we be racing and it would come down to the wire and the points battle was getting close, and there was a lot of competition back then. And Neil used to tell me, don't worry about Chad, the Lord will take care of him. And he did, And so that's a good way to look at it. Always a good spiritual thing, to put it in the hands of the Lord. The glory of God always seems to pull through, and shine on the drivers that put it in his hands. So my hat's off of you for that. And so you had a fantastic season last year, and I know you're looking for a fantastic season this year. Won a lot of races, completed a lot of laps. Like I said, didn't put a scratch on the car all year. The year before that, you couldn't say that. A lot of bad luck and everything. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I think you're going to be fine. So I got to ask you, how does it feel to be a champion now? I mean, does it feel any difference being a champion, or do you think about that often, or do you, or what?
I'll put it this way.
It's got to feel good.
It feels good, Tony. I say I leave the results up to God and everything, but at the end of the day, I do have a competitive spirit, and this is a goal, not just a championship. I just wanted to win a race in this division for about 4 or 5 years, and just wrecking. So to be able to come out here last year and win those races, and then win a championship, that is something I never dreamed of, and it's just something where when the day comes and racing's an end thing for me, I'll be okay. I'll definitely be okay with giving it up. So.
It seems like that watching your race over the past couple of years, it looked like to me that you were just really trying hard, and the last few years of my career, I felt like I didn't have a lot of luck because I think I was trying too hard. Used to when I was young, it just came to you natural, but you get to a point where you start trying too hard, especially when you're having bad luck and everything. So what did you do different last year? Did you just take your time, buy your time? Did you just limber up and start relaxing, or was your, and obviously you had really good equipment. Your dad put you in great equipment, and a driver can't do anything more than what his equipment will allow him to.
Right. I would definitely say, Tony, it's hard to explain what was so different because people have asked me this before, and I just got to say, the equipment has always been there. I just didn't show up. I wasn't there mentally or spiritually or anything like that. So when I showed up this season, I was mentally prepared for what was going on. And like you said, the biggest difference for me was how I approached it spiritually. And I guess for me...
How'd you get yourself in the mix and everything?
I guess that is what loosened me up, like you said, to not take it so serious. It wasn't life or death. I was out there just like racing my truck and enjoying it, and then I went to the front. And,
after you won your first couple races, you knew that you could win, and I'm sure that boosted your confidence in yourself, did it not?
Oh yeah, racing is mental. A lot of it is mental. When you're out there leading a race and you've never won before, there's something inside of you that tells you you're not supposed to be in the front right now. The wolf pack is behind you. They're coming. Get ready to get out of the way. So when you get that monkey off your back and you get that first win, it's kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm going to take the lead, and I'm going to stay out front. It gives you a lot more confidence to go into that race.
So how did you feel the last race? And then we'll wind this deal up. How did you feel the last race racing against your dad? I mean, it had to be, this is something that a lot of us don't get to do.
Right.
I know Chad never got an opportunity to race against Neil.
Mm-hmm.
I never got an opportunity to race against my dad. And some of the most historic things that have happened in our sport were like Earnhardt Jr. racing Earnhardt Sr. and the Allisons, Bobby and racing and just really cool. Father wins, son right behind him, or father and son battling him out. How did were you trying to beat him, or did you?
Well,
were you giving it all you had, or were you just like, well, I'm gonna let Dad take this one home, or what? Now be careful now, cause you got 2 trucks.
Yeah, no.
That old man ain't no joke.
No, he's not. My dad, that was a very special night. Being able to be
I'm
on
sure
that
it was.
track with my dad, knowing I already won the championship.
Right.
I knew when I turned that engine on, I'm a champion. And then I'm out there with my dad. We both start on the front, up in the front.
Right.
And I'm sitting there.
And I know you had to be thinking, man, I don't want to screw up. Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it was pretty intense. The start of the race, like I wanted to
race him
outrun my dad, but at the same time, I wasn't going to do anything crazy to do it.
Jeopardize that.
No. So when he got out in front, and I'll be honest, I wasn't going to catch him. I was taking notes. I'll put it that way. That first corner down there, he showed me how to take a restart, and he just floorboarded that truck around that bottom on that start of that race, and I was just watching him go, and I was just like, wow, he showed me what a truck can do on that first corner. So it was pretty fun. His truck is a good truck, but I don't think I had nothing for him. I was just happy running second.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, Chaz, congratulations on a great year last year, and we're really looking forward to seeing you, whatever you do, whatever you drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I know it's going to be a family deal. So, you're 22 years old now. You got a championship under your belt and a basket full of races, and so. I think that you'll get better as you progress. You'll get better the more laps you get, the better you'll get. And I wouldn't so much say that the professional career is out. I mean, if somebody approached you with a pretty decent deal, I'd have to think that you'd probably go after it.
I absolutely would. Yeah, I definitely would.
Congratulations. Thanks for being on my show, and we'll see you on the track.
Thanks, Tony.
All right.
Nashville, get ready! It's the 61st season opener at Fairgrounds Speedway, Nashville. Sunday, March 25th. It's Big Machine Family Day, including an Easter egg hunt for the kids with over 10,000 eggs. Free bouncy house. The money drop is back. Free TV giveaway. Don't miss the autograph session at 1. And it's gear, jam, and door slamming racing action. Featuring all quarter-mile division and 8-mile, including the Big Machine Pocket Super Trucks and Big Machine Workers Pro Late models. It's finally here. The season opener at Fairgrounds Speedway, Nashville, where the legend lives on.
All right, and welcome back to the second half of our podcast, number 2 at the legendary Fairground Speedways. It is once again Friday night, March the 16th, and we'll introduce our guest for the second part of our show, Jonathan Dishman here to my right, and Kevin Rollins to my extreme right. And these two gentlemen right here are run on our quarter mile, and they're both going to be top contenders this year, I'm sure, for our new limited late model event sponsored by Advanced Auto Parts. Limited late model division, it's kind of a out of an ordinary type division that we put together, and I think it's going to go over really well. We've got a lot of cars, and it's going to be interesting because we're going to have 3 different types of cars in there in that division, and these two gentlemen right here, between the two of them, they have already ran all 3 different types of those cars. Now we're gonna talk to Kevin and Jonathan and get their opinion on how they like this new division, how they like the rules and everything, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about our schedule for media day. And before we get into that, though, let me mention all of our sponsors. We haven't got into that yet, and I don't want to leave them out. So let's just start by saying all of our sponsors that have returned to the legendary Fairground Speedway for the 2018 race season: the Big Machine Records, $5,000 to win Pro Late Models, a Big Machine Vodka Super Truck Series, $2,500 to win that. Bill Freeman is on board. He sponsors the whole place. One of our biggest supporters, and a great guy. Miss Kelly's Karaoke Bar, Beasley's Lawn and Garden Service, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Westside Rentals and Sales, the Batter's Box Grill, and War Shocks, War Inc., War Drivers Development, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Coca-Cola, Carl Black Chevrolet, Advanced Auto Parts, BH Homes Construction, proud sponsor of our Legends Car division, Superior Powder Coating, 31W Insulation, Wayne Day up on the ridge. And then we got some partial sponsors that kind of do little things, but they have a lot of involvement, like 5 Star Bodies, Hoosier Racing Tires, Sunoco Racing Gas, Mainstay Inn and Suites in Brentwood, Tennessee. They're the official hotel of the Fairground Speedways. Racing Electronics, they provide all of our race control radios and everything for the Speedway. Cool Springs Fire and Equipment, they supply all of our fire extinguishers and some fire equipment that we use here. Fun Jump Rentals and Blinker Lights. Let's run over the Media Day schedule, which will be this Sunday, March the 18th. Gates open at 10 o'clock. Practice is from 12 to 5. Pit admission will be just $15. The grandstand's open at 12. We've got our track champion here. And then we got a guy that provided a track champion car year before last. And how many races did you win last year, Jonathan?
Won a few, I think 3 out of 4.
Three. You won 3 races, and Kevin, you pretty much shut everybody out in the Super Street division, so. I just got to ask you guys, and I know, Kevin, you did a lot of work to your car over the winter because I saw it over here a few days ago. What do you got? What do you guys? What do you suspect? What do you think about the new division? What do you think about the rules?
It's gonna be interesting.
3 different kind of cars, and you had a Super Street car,
Right.
and you've kind of upgraded it to like a sportsman car.
I've still kept a lot of the Super Street parts on it, but I'm going to carry a little extra weight, so because of that I just opted to put a 3-speed in it and go that route, to try to pick up a little bit there. So, but that's basically the big change that I did, was just putting a 3-speed in.
Could you tell any difference going from automatic to 3-speed?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a little bit more throttle response coming off the turns, and I think that car's going to be pretty peppy. The other day, we're still trying to get little brake issues worked out in it, but I think once I get that worked out, it'll be.
Yeah, you mentioned you still got a stock master cylinder and you put disc brakes on the back, so that can be a little tricky on the portional valves and whatnot.
It's tricky, but I think we've got it nailed down what the issue was, and the car still went flat with no brakes, so I think it's got more in it. I just gotta, obviously on a quarter mile you gotta have some brakes. You
really do, especially on a flat quarter mile like what we got now. I gotta ask you. I know I've heard you bought a perimeter car or two, and I heard you bought Wendell Mobley's.
I've got a good piece.
That was a great race car. Are you gonna make a truck out of that, or you're not gonna run that car on a quarter mile track? Are you? Or?
I don't know. That's my plan B.
Okay, so you haven't actually been in a perimeter car on a quarter mile track yet?
No.
But you've got a couple of perimeter cars that you're getting. Are you going to have a perimeter car here for the first race?
Not for the first race. I want to do some testing on it and whatnot, and see how. I think we're going to be pretty racy with the car from last year, but just want to see how the first race goes, and I'll make my mind up.
How many races you won last year?
4.
4. So you guys were like 4-4 last year.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay, and so. You've got a super stock car, and you've kind of left your super stock like it was, but you've gone out and got your perimeter car. Right. And let me explain to you folks out there that don't understand what we're talking about here, and I know there's a lot of you that do, there's a lot of you that don't. The perimeter cars have the same chassis underneath them as the old late model stock cars had, and the same chassis that the super trucks have, which is a conventional zero offset square tubing chassis. Some of them are 3 links, which means they have 2 trailing arms on the bottom and 1 length on the top. Some of them have long trailing arms on them. There's a variety of different things, but this is a chassis that's been around for a long time. There's a lot more adjustments, a lot more things that you can change, a lot more things that you can do to adjust your car to make it turn better, to make it get in the corners better, to make it get off the corners better. And one of the reasons that we added these perimeter cars to this division was they're just so cheap. They're everywhere. You can go out and find a good perimeter car from anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000, a good perimeter car, and I think it's going to be something that's really going to be exciting to watch. What we had, the super street cars, which we took 200 pounds of weight off of them, so they could go from like 3,400 to down to 3,200, and then the sportsman cars. They went from 3,200, I think, to 3,100, did they not? Or
3,250.
3,250. So we took 50 pounds off. No, we added 50 pounds onto the sportsman cars. So it's really interesting to see some of the guys have left their sportsman cars. I know John Burns and Jeremy Burns have got the sportsman car that Thomas Purnell won a few races in, and Keith Webb had. That was one of Mark Brawley's old cars, and it's actually the car that Chaz Chapman started his career on, and they ran really good. First time out in it. You came over last week at the track run with your new perimeter car. Tell us, first time you've ever driven a perimeter car. I know you've driven a straight rail car too at the rim, but you came out here with a perimeter car. How you like it?
Well, the drive is totally different. You got plenty of bite up off the corner, which I really, really like about it.
You don't have to work as hard in them, do you?
You don't have to work as hard hustling the car. And, I've been complaining to them. I think the motor's down in it, but what they're telling me is you got so much bite you don't realize it. That's why you're crying wanting motor. Like in those super street and those sportsman cars, you just really don't have that drive off the corner that you've got in this.
Well, when you get in a car that finally does hook up, it doesn't feel like you're going that fast because you're not getting sideways and you're not spinning the tires. You don't really feel like you're going anywhere, but you're putting it all to the ground. And even though the ride doesn't seem like it's that much faster, it's all being put to the ground. So you you turn some pretty significant times, I understand.
Yeah, I run 1570s in it right off the trailer. I mean, there's still some there, I think. I think I got a lot of work to do getting comfortable with the car because it is something new. It's totally different, and I'm still learning about it. I mean, it's my first time ever working with an actual perimeter car, so I'm learning a lot. I got Keith Webb helping me out a lot, too. He's doing really good on racing down here with me with it, and I think
Keith Webb knows his way around pretty good.
yeah, he's pretty slick. He's a pretty smart guy, and I really think that with his help, I think we'll be a top contender, I think, and have a pretty good shot at running up front with it. But I think the biggest thing right now is going to be just seeing where the happy medium is with everybody. I know there's some things laid out there that could be adjusted if the super street cars tend to struggle or if the sportsmen are struggling with a perimeter. But I think the biggest thing with the perimeter over any of them right now is going to be the consistency of them. Because if it run a 1570 on lap 1, it'd run a 1570 30 laps into the run.
It might not. Now, Kevin, you've done some pretty impressive things in a super street car last year. What was the fastest? You actually, when we put transponders on, this was one of the things that encouraged me to do the mix on this. When we put transponders on the car, I looked at the sheets and saw what you guys were turning late into the race, when you'd have a caution and go back to green or whatnot. So it made sense to me. We've got two divisions, and obviously if a couple of guys can go that fast, the rest of the guys can go that fast if they work on their cars. So, both of you guys had super street cars last year. Both of you guys won a handful of races. You both have perimeter cars now, but you still have a super street car. What's the fastest you ran with your super street car?
Would be the All-American race. I won a 94 with it.
A 94, which is only a couple of tenths slower than what Jonathan's already been in a perimeter car. So you told me you had a brake issue the other day. So do you think you can compete with the perimeter cars?
I think if I get the brakes squared away, I think I can go an 80, possibly a little quicker than that. But it's just when you put the hours that we do in the shop. I mean, I know Jonathan works on his a lot, and I think that's the reason why we excelled last year versus a lot of the other guys. Mine don't sit in the trailer. Mine goes home, goes on jack stands, and Monday afternoon after work.
They won't heal themselves, that's for sure.
No, they don't heal themselves, but you've got to tinker with them, and that's the only way you're going to really get faster is working on them as trial and error.
So what do you think, Jonathan? You still got your super street car intact and everything, I understand. All the engine rules are exactly the same for you just got different weights, different cars. You're being penalized a little bit with a perimeter car because you got more to work with. You've got a little bit less left side weight. You got a little bit less tread width. Other than that, it's a little bit more overall weight. What do you think's going to be the ticket?
Honestly, I think survival's going to be the ticket with any of it.
Yeah.
I think because there's 35 cars registered.
A few more than that.
I think if everybody shows up, I think it's going to be a survival of the fittest. You're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to be patient and just survive it till the end. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a super street car in the top 5 at the end of the race. I wouldn't be surprised to see a sportsman car right there with a perimeter car. I think the weight is going to help it out some because a lot, you took a percent of left side away from the limited car. You've taken an inch of tread width away from them. So all of that is going to kind of balance it out with them as well. I think this is just going to be a trial and error thing, and I think it's going to be beneficial because there were so many of these perimeter cars sitting out there, and there's so many guys wanting to move forward. And the main reason I bought the perimeter car is because next year if I want to go to a truck, I can raise the halo.
Absolutely.
And go to a truck.
Absolutely. And then that's kind of the way I was thinking. If you guys decide you want to move up, guess what? You just pull the body off, put a truck body on it, raise the roll cage up a little bit, and then you got a truck. So, Kevin, you clinched the championship last year. You're coming into. I know you've been around this quarter-mile track a lot of times. You've won a lot of races, and you've got a super street car with some modifications. a very fast super street car. You work on your car a lot. You got a great engine, man. You seem to be able to get more out of a super street car than anybody out here that I've seen so far. Jonathan's right on your heels. You guys were top competitors last year. You think if you get out front with a super street car next week, you think you can pull it off?
If I get out front, I've got so many laps that I feel like consistency. If I'm out front, I can run consistently.
Think you can hold the bottom, and even though Jonathan's got a perimeter car that he's getting really familiar with, and you think you think you can keep him from passing you on the outside?
On the outside,
yeah,
my car sticks pretty good on the bottom. In the All-American race, it stuck pretty good, kind of in the middle of the track. I know
right.
A lot of people coming from go-kart racing, I'm a little bit familiar with the VHT and whatnot.
All right.
I used that to my advantage in qualifying. That's one of the reasons why I got as quick as I did there.
Could you tell that there was VHT on the track?
I seen it. I knew what it was.
Yeah.
Because we've even used did some concrete racing with go-karts back when I was a kid, and indoor races, and they used some VHT. So the first lap I rode around in the VHT. I know I was going to throw away the first lap.
Well, we got 55 gallons that'll be here Monday, and we're gonna do a little experimenting. I've told that you mix it with methanol. That there's different things you can mix it with. We're gonna do a little mixing. We're gonna do a little. It's pretty expensive, but we're gonna put a lot of it down. Pretty strong. I'm going to try to make this quarter-mile track where you can run side by side all the way around.
It'd be a blast. I mean, back when they raced Legends cars on the Tuesday night races, I can remember when we had 30 of them out there, and it's a lot of cars, but it's a blast.
I remember when they had so many Legends cars, they had to run an A and a B class. I remember when they had so many super street cars, I guess, that they ran them on the big track, that they had to run an A and a B. So while I got you guys on the air here, we talked a little bit about the show, about what this. One of the questions has been, let's just get off the track for a minute, and let's talk about the administrative end of this deal. So last year we had super streets that pay pretty good. We had sportsman cars that pay pretty good. So now we have a combination, 3 different kind of cars in one division, limited late model division. What do you guys? And you guys, I think both of you guys will agree that what we've done on the tires, and I know Alan Carter really liked it. He said it was the best thing that ever happened here. And to hear a veteran, that's been around this place as much as he has, to say that really made me feel good. And I know you guys really like the takeoff tires. All racers like grip. So I just feel like that where we're headed here is probably going to be one of the most, if not the most. You got 40-something pure stock cars that are registered too, so they're going to put a whale of a show on. But you guys are going to have more control, more compatibility, more being able to drive your cars more, harder, whatnot. You're going to be able to get around the track more. What are you guys thinking as far as pay? Can you help me out a little bit on that? What do you think?
I think bare minimum 1,000 to win.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
So what do you? A lot of guys are thinking around that area to win, but what about starting? What about starting? Because you gotta think about the guys in the back too. I mean they gotta have a little bit of a payday too. Once again, we all know we're racing for the fun of it. We're not going to make a living doing this. There's no way we can make a living. But the pay just kind of puts the icing on the cake. And I don't think that you'll find anybody in the United States of America that's been to this speedway to race that complains about the way we pay. We pay good money. And I always said, you know, if I ever got to be the promoter, that being that I raced as long as I did, and I'm still a racer, I just have to put the promoter cap on Saturday night. I want the guys to get paid good money, you know. So you know, you thinking $1,000 to win. What do you think to start? What did it pay to start? What did Super Street pay to start last year? Do you know?
I honestly don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's going to sound arrogant and cocky. I never look that far back anyway.
Well, honestly,
I show up to win, so I only focus on what it.
I understand, and that's a great attitude to have.
Maybe
So,
like 35 or something like
No,
that.
it was more than that. I think
we're going to announce the pay for this on our next podcast. We may announce it this Sunday at Media Day. We may have some sheets printed out where all you guys can know what you're racing for. The only reason I hadn't put it out there, I've just been seeing how many cars we would have register, how many cars we have, how fast they are, how good they look and everything. A lot of people are probably thinking, well, what's it got to do with the pay? Well, it has a lot to do with the pay, you know. So it's going to be good. You've got a couple of divisions that have combined and everything, you know, and but I want the guys in the back to take something home too, you know.
what was I mean maybe $65, $75.
Yeah, something like that, and so it's going to be good. Let's talk a little bit before we button our show up. I think we probably got about 5 minutes left. Let's talk about Sunday, March the 25th, 2018, Big Machine Family Day. Our ticket booth for the pits, of course, will open at 8 a.m. And then tech opens as soon as everybody gets in the track. Tech will be open and waiting from 8 a.m. to 8:50. Turn 1 gate right down here will be open for big rigs interest only. As you all know, the parking's going to be a little bit different. We're going to hand out some sheets, and we're going to have a drivers meeting this weekend to tell everyone, you know, the entering and outering procedures. It's going to be crazy for the first couple races, but you guys, everybody work with me. We'll get through it. It's going to be different than it was. We don't have the 5 points interest and exit anymore. We're going to be coming in off of Nolensville Road. The big rigs will be coming right here off of the main road. There'll be a gate open back where the pit booth used to be. We'll be coming across the bridge coming around to turn 1. So turn 1 gate's going to be open from 8 to 8:50 for big rig entrance only. 9 o'clock, mandatory drivers, 5/8 drivers meeting. No RVs or golf carts allowed at that. You got to walk to the drivers meeting. That'll be at 9 a.m. That's a mandatory drivers meeting for the 5/8 drivers only. 10 to 10:45, super truck tire release in qualifying order. If you're not on time, you lose 1 lap of qualifying. 10:45 to 11:45, pro late model tire release in qualifying order. If you're not on time, you lose 1 qualifying lap. 11:30 a.m. mandatory quarter mile drivers meeting. No RVs or golf carts at that either. At 12 o'clock, the grandstand opens. At 12:05, qualifying begins. 2 laps for the pros and the super trucks. At 1 o'clock, driver's autograph session, driver's introduction, mandatory at grandstand on stage, pre-race ceremony, and the national anthem begins. You must have a working receiver and transponder at all times. The pro mods will start by running a 20-lap feature. The legends will run 25 laps. The Pest Doctor front runners will run 30 laps. The pure stocks will run 30 laps. The limited late models, you guys, will run 40 laps. And then intermission, you will have the Easter egg hunt. The Big Machine Vodka Super Trucks will run 50 laps, and a Big Machine Record Pro Late Models will run 100 laps. No personal vehicles allowed in the pits. Sunday only pit price is $30. Grandstand and admission is always general admission. Adults are $10. Senior and military, $8. Children are $6. Kids 5 and under, as always, are free. Everyone come on out this weekend for our media day. That'll be this Sunday, March the 18th. The gate opens at 10 a.m. Practices from 12 to 5. Hope to see everybody there. Guys, we got maybe 1 minute left. You guys want to say anything about your sponsors or anything, or thank anybody? Right now it's time to do it.
Real quick for standing with me, USA Motor Machine, man, they supply me some awesome horsepower. Tire Recappers, Thomas Ford and those guys, they've really helped me all year long. Carl Porter Jr. and just really helped me get my car together, so I really appreciate that. And Springfield Plumbing for coming on board this year with us.
Yeah, and my biggest sponsor is Ace Exterminating. Obviously, it's where I'm employed, but they take care of me there too. 10X Fabrication, Jimmy Bridges. I'd like to thank Robert and Zach and everybody that helps me on the car, and I got to thank my wife too for letting me do it, and pretty much living in the garage all winter. So.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
As long as Mama's happy.
Yeah. We'll see everybody this weekend. For the Fairground Speedways, I'm Tony Famosa, Kevin Rollins, Jonathan Dishman. Good night, everybody. We'll see you this weekend. Buckle those seatbelts. God bless all of you. Thanks for watching.